This is a trading review for the 3rd, 3rd of May 2022. I was looking at two stocks, Apple and Oxy. I took my first trade on Apple and I got stopped out fairly soon. I shouldn't have, well, we had a move from S3 to R3, which was nice, but we kind of set value here, and we had a very ugly price action at R3, so I should have avoided it until it started to behave nicer. But anyways, I noticed that we were rejecting from this area, from these values, from this value range. We failed to make a new candle above R3, and it took a while. It was about an hour actually that we consolidated at R3, and then we were not getting volume, and I saw this doji. But my mistake here was that for a reversal, I needed this doji to have more volume. Otherwise, that just signals consolidation. So this is not necessarily a signal of selling pressure. It could just mean consolidation. But anyways, I followed my setup. We did not have stacks at the level 2, which explains why we didn't really had a move down. But my entry was kind of late on the 1 minute, but it's okay. It's not that bad. It's fine on the 5 minute. And after 2 minutes, I got stopped out. One of the issues I think is I was trading against this 159.21 level. But luckily, we didn't have a spread. We didn't have slippage when we got stopped out. I will say it's a good trade. You can see that the stock failed to make a breakout at R4. We attempted and we reversed, and then we had another attempt to reverse at R3. But yeah, I think I should have avoided this trade because on the pivot points, they were within the previous days, and it gets tricky because the pivots were kind of wide, but still were within the other previous days. So I think that explains why the behavior of the stock was kind of weird. So anyways, that's my first trade, and I would like to do the review right now. It was a short. Apple was an outside day. We didn't have a bias on this stock. It did not work. We did make an entry after compression. We had this small channel running here. It's just unfortunate that the stock continued to test, and I think that's because I made an entry when we were lacking volume. I should have waited or avoided this trade. So we follow most of the rules, but we did not get a volume signal. So I think this is a B trade, and it's not too bad, minus 1R. But then I took this trade on Oxy. We had an inside day, and we had the pivot points bullish, and you can see the daily here that we are gapping up from the previous day close. But the previous day we had a super move, so it only makes sense that we had an inside day. So we opened at S1 and managed to make a run almost to R4 to this level 60.39, and then we failed to gain any more volume, so I knew that the move was over. we dropped below VWAP, and I noticed that we were consolidating, and at this area it makes sense to make an entry short. And I was gonna make an entry actually uh, before we even dropped to VWAP, because it was just that obvious that we were dropping from this value area at $60. So anyways, no, I waited for us to break to the R3 level, and I noticed that we were respecting the price of 59.62. We had been respecting the moving average, so I decided to make my entry just a little bit above R3, because we had already tried to reject to the top side, break above VWAP, and we failed, and we were consolidating in the middle. So I made my entry here. It's a little bit early, uh, and especially it was very risky in the sense that I could have gotten stopped out because the moving averages were going back and forth. So it could have been best for me to wait for the 5 minute candle to close just just below R3. But anyways, I had a little bit of an early entry, but I had a very good stop loss, and it worked out at the end. I made my entry at the 1 minute breakdown and the 5 minute breakdown, and we held our emotions throughout the entire throughout the first half of the trade. Um, I could not. I saw the setup manifest. If I had taken the setup here at the break of R3 at around 59.45 with a stop loss at 59.50, it could have been a very good trade as well. But I made my entry earlier, and I couldn't make another entry here because I already had a fairly large size. But the trade worked out well. I took 1/3 at 3R, a little bit more than 3R, and then we had a bigger drop. I had my next partial at 59.04, but we didn't get quite there on this candle, and we pulled back strong. But on the 1 minute, it looked more scary than the 5 minute, so I think I allowed the 1 minute to scare me. I held for another drop, but I saw that we formed a double bottom, and we had a large amount of volume on this candle. Plus, the 5 minute had a hammer. So once we closed above the 9 and 20 moving average, I decided to get out because um, that I was thinking with the uh, with the P&L in mind, with my profits. So that was a mistake I made on this trade. But it's not a mistake that's part of my setup. It's a mistake based on my it was a mistake made on my part, my psychological aspect. So this was a short. It was an inside day, and we had a bullish bias. We opened at S1, so it's an inside day, and we had a return of 3R, so it's a very good trade, but it could have been so much better. We had a big run here, and you can tell that we didn't have a large amount of volume until the next 5 minute candle. So it's unfortunate. I have to change those habits of mine because they're not healthy. It's days like this. It's days like these where I make a good entry or where the trade goes my way. And I need to squeeze as much as possible, and I'm just letting myself down by not following the a good profit taking technique, or allowing my emotions to get in the way, my obsession over the profits. So I didn't make an entry after compression. That's a problem. A little bit of anticipation. So this trade worked, and I broke a rule. The other trade didn't work, but I didn't break rules, so that's very interesting. Yeah, so I took those two trades, and because I was at goal, just at goal, I didn't want to give anything back, and it's been a very rough 2 weeks to trade. So I'm happy with those trades. So that's pretty much it for the trading review.